Sometimes healing begins not with answers, but with presence. This week, I received a message that stopped me in my tracks. It came from a young father in Africa. The message was simple. He wrote, "After our conversation, I no longer felt alone." I sat quietly for a long time after reading those words, because something inside me knew this message carried a deeper truth. For many years, I thought healing meant fixing problems, finding answers, creating solutions. But this message reminded me of something important. Sometimes healing does not begin with advice. Sometimes it does not begin with a strategy. Sometimes healing begins with presence. As I reflected on our conversation, I found myself returning to a familiar ancient poem, a poem that has comforted people for thousands of years. Many know it as Psalm 23, but beneath its familiar words lies something timeless, a map for navigating uncertainty, a guide for finding peace in difficult times, with listening, with being fully here for another human being. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. At its deepest level, this verse is an invitation to trust. Not trust that life will always unfold according to our plans. Not trust that every challenge will disappear. Not trust that we will always know what comes next. But trust that we are supported, even when we cannot see the entire path ahead, even when the future feels uncertain, even when we find ourselves standing at a crossroads. The shepherd does not promise certainty. The shepherd offers guidance, a quiet reminder that we do not walk alone, and that perhaps in this very moment we are already being led. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. The green pastures are not somewhere else. The still waters are not waiting in the future. They exist within us, beneath the noise, beneath the worry, beneath the endless stream of thoughts that fill our minds each day. There is a quiet place within, a place untouched by fear, a place untouched by hurry, a place untouched by the constant demands of daily life. The ancient poem reminds us that peace is not something we must earn. It is something we can return to again and again, like still waters, waiting patiently within us. He restores my soul. Healing is not becoming someone new. Healing is remembering who we have always been, before the fear, before the disappointment, before the wounds we carry, beneath our worries, beneath our doubts, beneath every story we tell ourselves about who we should be. There is something essential within us, something whole, something unbroken. The soul does not need to be fixed. It simply needs to be remembered. And perhaps that is what true healing really is, a gentle return to the truth of who we are. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Every life contains uncertainty. Every life contains loss. Every life contains moments when the path ahead disappears into darkness, moments when we cannot see what comes next, moments when we question our strength, moments when we wonder if we will ever find our way forward. Yet the shadow is not the final truth. The darkness is not the destination. The valley is something we walk through, not something we remain in. Love remains, hope remains, the light remains, and even in our darkest moments, something within us continues to move toward the dawn. For thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff comfort me. The presence that guides us rarely arrives the way we expect. It does not always come as a dramatic revelation or a voice from the heavens. More often it arrives quietly, sometimes as intuition, a gentle knowing that whispers this way, sometimes as grace, a door opening just when we need it most, sometimes as a friend, sometimes as a teacher, sometimes as a stranger whose kindness changes the course of our day, and sometimes it arrives as a simple conversation, a moment of connection, a reminder that we are seen, that we are loved, and that we are not alone. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. This may be one of the most surprising lines in the entire poem. The table is not prepared after the conflict is over. The table appears in the middle of it, Peace is not the absence of difficulty. Peace is the ability to remain connected to love while difficulty is present, to remain grounded when fear is pulling us in another direction, to remain open when life invites us to close our hearts. The table is always there. The invitation is always open, an invitation to pause, to breathe, to remember who we are, and to choose love, even when life is challenging us to choose fear. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Goodness and mercy are not future rewards. They are companions available to us now, not someday, not when everything is finally perfect, not when all our problems have been solved. Now, in this moment, the more we learn to trust, the more we begin to notice them. The more we become present, the more we discover they have been walking beside us all along, like faithful friends, quietly supporting us, quietly guiding us, quietly reminding us that we are loved. Perhaps goodness and mercy have never been following us at all. Perhaps they have been walking beside us every step of the way. Source is my shepherd, the eternal light of all that is. I walk in wholeness, for nothing is lacking in me. Source lays me down in the emerald light of the heart and leads me beside the still waters of inner peace. The light restores my soul and guides me into alignment with love. Even when I pass through the valley of shadow and illusion, I fear no evil, for the presence of Source is with me. Its power protects, its guidance lifts me. You prepare a feast of abundance before me. Even in the face of hostility, my heart remains unshaken. You anoint my crown with the oil of light, and my cup overflows with gratitude. Surely goodness and grace surround me always, and I dwell here and now forever in the infinite house of Source. This week, a young father reminded me of something I needed to remember. Healing often begins not with answers, but with presence, not with fixing, but with listening, not with certainty, but with connection. Perhaps that is the wisdom hidden inside this ancient poem. Perhaps the green pastures and still waters appear whenever we help another human being remember that they are not alone. And perhaps that is where healing begins. Thank you for walking this path with me.